In 2011, a movie called The Big Year was released. The movie focused on a particular year in which multiple birders competed to tally as many birds as possible. This story is based on 3 real-life birders, one of which is Greg Miller. We spent some time birding with Greg, who is played by Jack Black in the movie, and asked him questions from our subscribers and followers about birding, the movie, and his legendary Big Year.
My first reaction was kind of scary. You never know what Hollywood is going to do with things, and birding has a tradition of having things where that people make fun of birds or birding, and it's kind of a nerdy hobby, and it is. I'm a nerd, and I was kind of taken aback, but then when I found out, oh, it's actually got a real director, and they have real stars signed up, I was shocked, but still scared. So I was a combination of extremely excited and extremely scared, because my name is either going to be a good thing or it's going to be very bad. I'll start with Jack Black. Jack Black is as you would expect. A very funny guy, and really nice guy. Bent over backwards to make me feel comfortable on a Hollywood set, and genuinely nice guy, and just we'd be having a perfectly normal conversation, and it'd say something and it would bring an association, and he'd have witty retort, and anybody who was standing around, we'd be doubled over in laughter, and it was a lot of fun working with the comedic actors. The same way with Owen Wilson and Steve Martin. Both of them are, all the actors were very good at their craft and would work hard, but the comebacks, they would sling them wildly, and it was a lot of fun to be on the set with comedic humor. Like if we'd have had a blooper day, the day at the dump in the movie, that took a whole day to do those scenes at the dump. A whole day, because people got the giggles and couldn't keep straight faces.
Which one of them knew birds the best, if any of them?
Probably Owen Wilson, who grew up with feeder in his backyard. Well, there's a number of things that were played up that never happened at all with the Owen Wilson character, Sandy Camino. They made up a good number of things about Sandy. He didn't have problems with his wife. They weren't having a baby. None of that was true. That was completely made up. My dad was not antagonistic to me doing a Big Year. He was very supportive, and he's the reason I got into birding. So those things are completely made up things. As far as accuracy go, being a computer programmer at a nuclear power plant, nailed it. Did I have, let's see, I was surprised to notice that Jack Black, when he heard the Western Tanager at the beginning, he holds up a finger like this, like, aha, I think I hear something, and I found myself doing that, and I go, oh, I didn't realize I did that until I saw Jack Black doing it. Because I got to go birding with Jack Black for 2 hours before filming began, and he wanted to study me because I was the first person that he ever got to pattern acting after a real-life character rather than something that was made up. I was really happy I finally got American Flamenco after the 4th attempt. The first 3 were pretty epic failures.
Did you have to take a kayak out to go see it?
I did take a kayak out, and I was able to miss them with the kayak.
That was the epic mud story, if I remember correctly.
I actually got stranded out in Snakebite Trail in the mud. It was the ebb tide of the month, and nobody told me how low the low tide was. All the water in Snakebite drained out for hundreds of yards, and I was stranded with my canoe in a bunch of mud. I tried getting out of the canoe, which was probably my worst decision, and I smelled like dead crabs for days. But I eventually made it back, and my 4th attempt, I was well prepared to use an entire can of Deep Woods Off, and sprayed my shirt so that it was damp with off, and it was long sleeved, and had jeans on, and did the hike through the trillions of mosquitoes, 2.1 miles out to the end of Snakebite Trail, and got some distant views of American Flamenco. That was, by the 4th time, that was an accomplishment. My favorite moment during my big year? Wow, that's a really hard one. I'm going to have to say the amount of exuberation that I had on about the 3rd day on Attu, when it just started raining birds out of the sky. We had 3 days of 70-mile-an-hour sustained winds out of the west, and then the day that the winds stopped, birds would magically appear out of the sky like you were in a Harry Potter movie, and they were just appearing, and they dropped into marshy tundra all over the place, and there were olive-backed pipits and red-throated pipits, and the chora pipits, and bramblings, and wood sandpipers. We had ended up with 22 species of Asian vagrants for the 2 weeks that we were there, which was just about as much as they'd seen in the previous 22 years previous. We saw it all in 2 weeks. How did I stay motivated during my big year? That's a great question. At the beginning, it's really easy when you're adding, gobs of birds everywhere you go. But if you already know ahead of time that about halfway through the year, things are going to throttle back, and you have to extend yourself. You're spending more and more money for fewer and fewer birds. If you plan ahead of time and have a mentality, just be patient. They'll add up a lot slower, but it works. And it kept me motivated, and I told myself, if I ever get to the place where this just feels like drudgery or work, I'll just quit. But once you have put in that amount of effort and that amount of time and money, you don't quit as easily. Ohio State big year, that would be a fun thing, but it's actually harder on some levels than doing a national big year or a North American big year, and the reason for that is if you had a marbled godwit show up in Ohio, and you've probably got only one chance to go see it, whereas something like a bar-tailed godwit in North America, you might have several chances to see it because it's a much bigger area. And you might think you're going to spend less time doing a big year in your state. No, it'll take up the same amount of time and effort, and it will just take away from everything else. But if you want to be competitive, then you have to stay focused on that and not look at what you can't do, but look at what you are doing. Because if you look at what you can't do, you'll feel deprived, and human personality does horrible. They don't handle deprivation very well. I was home for 3 weekends during my big year in 1998. 3 weekends I was sick and I did not travel. As in, too sick to travel. Like, I can't get out of bed. New vocalizations. I am sure that we do not have all the vocalizations for all the birds, even here in North America. I'm absolutely serious. And vocalizations, it's like an untapped world. There are only a handful of people who do things with it. Well, in 1998 dollars, I spent $31,000 and change. Don't remember the exact amount, but it's $31,000. I'm at least double at a bare minimum. Lodging was number one cost back in 1998. That will be your number one cost again. Doing it now, it's more expensive than airfare. If you can get hotel points, I mean, you should do that. I was happy to hear that they kept the classic or original ABA separate from the new ABA with Hawaii. I think it should have probably been apart. Even though it's not apart geographically, Attu is actually farther west than Hawaii. So I think it should have been included all along. But that's just my opinion. And what does that count? Merlin. It's the very best adaptation. Merlin is a fabulous tool, but when it has become such a crutch that that's the only thing you use, and you don't learn the bird songs yourself, that is a travesty. I rebuild woodpecker, only my dreams. I wish it was, but it's probably not.
How's that make you feel?
Now I'm depressed. At least we can find red cockaded woodpeckers, hopefully.
What is your favorite Jack Black movie? It's a softball question, unless it's actually Shallow Hal.
My favorite Jack Black movie is The Big Year.
Boom.
But I'm really biased.
What's your second favorite Jack Black?
Yeah, what's your second favorite Jack Black movie?
My second favorite Jack Black movie? Probably Pick of Destiny. I'd probably lean toward Hooded Merganser. Male Hooded Merganser is really hard to beat. And it'll be displaying this time of year, so we get to see one. That it always makes my day. They're a happy bird. My favorite bird in general, well, for in the world right now, is sword-billed hummingbird. It's got a bill longer than the bird itself, and it can be found in South America. I like to go to Ecuador for it, and my favorite in North America is the northern hawkowl. Probably the American flamingo. I went to the only place that it was accepted back then. I saw one at South Padre Island, but when I saw it in 1998, everybody knew that there is no pattern of vagrancy at all with American flamingo. We now know that's not true, but back then we didn't. So I couldn't count that one. So I attempted 2 times at Snakebite Trail in Florida. One, I had horrible experiences with the mosquitoes. My blue jeans changed to brown because there were literally wall-to-wall mosquitoes on my jeans on one of my trips. I had a backache on another trip, and The mosquitoes were horrendous. I tried renting a canoe for half a day, and I failed at that. I ended up getting stuck 200 yards from shore during low tide. And then the fourth time I went out, I ended up getting the flamingo successfully and collected a whole bunch more mosquito bites. It was my dad who got me started in birding. He started when he was just 5 years old, and he learned to enjoy the outdoors from his dad, my grandfather. So I got started birding so early. Don't remember getting my first pair of binoculars, and I don't remember where I went birding, and I don't remember what birds I saw first. I have always, as long as I can remember, enjoyed birding.
Nice.
I don't really have a favorite place, but I have a place I go to probably most often away from home, McGee Marsh in Northwest Ohio. I was going there since 1981. Went there every year except for just a handful of years, and I enjoy it. Long before there was a festival of people, there was always a festival of birds. Probably Attu. It was really fascinating to see marshy tundra and then to see all the Asian vagrants there. It was a phenomenal experience.
Nice.
If you want to see more of our time birding with Greg, take a look at this video. And if you want to see the Hollywood version of Greg's story, be sure to watch the movie The Big Year.